Hey! Hey, I'm live, but nobody's here. Because I'm still setting up, but I didn't want to be late. We're telling your followers that you started a live video. I know no one's here, but I shaved. And I have to do something with my hair. Hey, Ray! 2 secs. I gotta put this hair up. Hello, Ray. How are you doing this evening? Okay. What's up? Yo. There's only one person on here, but we're going to talk about pen and ink stuff. It's going to be amazing. So I've got books, and I've got to train myself to look at the camera and not at myself, which is super weird. I'm just going to stare longingly at the camera. How's my lighting? Is it okay? It's weird talking to people that don't talk back, but they say things back and you know that they're listening. Super weird. Technology. I really don't want to dive into... oh, hey, Mom! Hey! I don't want to dive into stuff, quite yet. Oh, someone else joined. Oh. Ray, what don't you want to do? He said you don't want to do it. Don't want to do what? Oh, someone joined. Carolina joined. Yeah, no. Going live is super weird. It's true. It's super weird. Is that better? That's too creepy. Makes it a little more homey. There we go. Okay. 4 people are here. Kylie's here. Can you wait? Oh, I'm supposed to, oh, sorry. I'm supposed to, like, pin something? Let me pin something. I feel like there should be like an icebreaker moment. Okay, what do I... No. No. Anyway, that's my handle. Yeah, right. No, that's dumb too. Hold down on what? You see, this is so crazy. Boom. It's the click on it. You don't hold it down, you click, you just touch. Yeah. So anyway, so that's me, Brandon Hayman, at Brandon Hayman. You can find me there. I draw a lot. I paint sometimes. Anyway, so that's enough of us here. Let's get going. So I wanted to do 2 things. Oh, the music's on. Is the music super loud? Is the music super loud, guys? Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Because you're right by the speaker. Check out my speaker. It's a TIE Fighter. And it's awesome. Okay. Okay, so it's fine. Okay. Oh, see, that's off. I can do it without music, but I like music. Here, I'll just move it this way. How's that? Is that better? I turned the speaker away like it's in the corner. Okay, cool. So you can hear me fine. Okay, so where to start? So I do pen and ink work. If you follow me at all or have seen any of my stuff, it's a bunch of different. I don't stick with one. I don't stick with one thing all the time. But I wanted to A, go over the tools that I use. B, go over kind of like some styles. And then C, or 3, I wanted to, just answer any questions if you guys had any questions. So, anyway, if you guys have any, just pop them on and I'll answer them as we go along. But, anyway, so let's just dive right in. So, okay. 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 Maybe that's better. Hold on. I'm still doing the sound check. I'm about to move the camera anyway. Okay, bear with me. I'm gonna flip you guys around. I got the hook up. It's a little too high for me. Let me lower this. Sorry about the shakiness. I hope nobody is getting sick. Okay, I think we're cool. All right, so this is my desk. These are my hands. This is my tool set. I'm going to go over the ones that I have. And then maybe mention a few that I don't. One in particular. I feel so unprepared. So this is all my scratch stuff. This is just my scratch stuff. Okay, so of you artists that are out there and that are paying attention, what kind of pens do you guys usually use? Do you guys usually use pens for in your artwork? Ray, I think that you use microns. Anyway, sorry. I got distracted. So, let's start with microns. I think maybe for me, whenever I started, they were the easiest for me to start drawing with. They come in different thickness. The 1, the 5, the 8. So, anyway, whenever I started drawing, because, I could always draw with a pencil. But when I started doing pen and ink work and was serious about it, I actually picked up a pack of pens from Target just on a whim. And started inking with them and was kind of hooked from that point out. They weren't microns, but they're similar to microns because they make a couple of different brands. But anyway, so microns come in different widths. So you can do fine work, so you can do teeny tiny lines. You got your 1, your 2, your 3, your 5, your 8. And so what that is for is it's for doing different widths like this. And as you can see, depending on how you use them, they're thicker, they're thicker lines. But if you're going for a darker shade, they're darker to your eye. I'm sure they're all black. Black is black. But say you're cross-hatching. Do I need to get closer? Let me know if I need to get closer. I don't think they go larger than 8. At least I haven't found anything larger than 8. Because after you get to 8, you get to the brushes, which is this guy. And I'll be honest, I don't like Micron's brushes. Their brush pens are relatively bad. But far as I know, they go up to 8. Something was on my phone, sorry. Hi, Abby. So, if you're cross-hatching, you've got your 1. And then you can do a super fine, super close together. And I'm just doing this just to demonstrate the difference in shading. So that's a 1. So I just did 2 crosshatches with 1. But then if you get this big fat 8 up in there, and doing the same technique, you can see it's a lot darker. And that's a really easy way to add value to your pen and ink drawings, because this is of course shades lighter than that. I'm actually using this a lot in the New York piece that I'm working on right now, that I'm working on forever. Hold on, I can grab it for you. So if you look closely, I'm just going to use this for a reference. What's a really good one? This might be a good one to show you guys. So here's a bunch of lines. I don't know if I can get y'all's perspective. What is this supposed to look like? This is what this looks like. Okay, now we're looking at it the right way. These are buildings. These are rooftops. That's a window. Those are windows. Those are windows. Anyway, but I'm using, whenever I do these, I use different widths for different means. Like this is like a 005 or a 1, and they're not super close together, but they're not super far apart, but they're super fine. And then you can tell the width changes from this to that. So I can't remember. I think I did a 3. I don't think I'm going anything over a 3 or a 5 on this big New York piece. But the thickness, just changing the thickness, because this is just one line, one layer of lines. This is just 2 layers of lines, but the thickness is different, and so your shade is much, much darker. To compare it to, like, this is probably a 1. And while this is 1 layer of lines and that's 2 layers of lines, this is still not as dark as that. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that makes sense. And so whenever you're using Micron pens, what are you saying? What was Brendan? Oh yeah, no, perfect. It's great for wood burning. So anyway, so your different thicknesses really help add value and hue to, I said hue, like that's a real term. When you're using black and white, I guess it's just value. I guess hue is for color. It's been a long time since I went to primary school. So anyway, there's that idea. Like for the roads are going to be the darkest part of this big drawing. And so I think I use a 5 on the roads and put like 3 layers of cross-hatching lines, so it's super, super dark. Like even here, if you can really see, this part's a little bit, like right here's a little bit darker, right here's a little bit darker, because I just go over it a third time just to get, that value change. That's what I'm looking for, the word value. Anyway, so that gives you an idea of how you can use microns. Now, of course, it's not the only way to use microns. Microns are typically, I refer them as technical. They're technical pens. So your writing is super precise. Your drawing is. So, my hands are shaky, so pardon me. Hold on, let me see if I can raise this up a little bit. Get a little closer. Anyway, so your writing is super precise. So like, see, my hands are super shaky, but you can draw, I don't know, what's something I can draw super quick. So you're here, and then, you don't have to, Can you tell? I mean, they're super fine, super clean, and I say super a lot. So those are really good. Microns are really good for just like precision drawing. Whenever you want full control, whenever you're doing cross hatching or you're doing line work, and you want a really clean look and a really clean outcome, and then you are going for a drawing where in the end it's going to be I don't know, you just have you have a lot more control over some of the other pens that I'm about to show you guys. So they're technical pens, and you have full control, super clean lines, and that's what I started drawing with. But then soon I discovered this guy, and this is a Kuretake brush pen. The really good brush pens all come from Japan. So if you get on Amazon and you're looking at them, make sure that it has writing that you can't read on it, and that means it's a good pen because it comes from Japan. They make the best pens. This guy, the Kuretake, is refillable, so you can unscrew it and you have refillable ink, so you don't have to buy the pen brand new every time. You can just buy the ink cartridge and fill it up, and then you can use the same pen all the time. Personally, this is my favorite brush pen. There's no nostalgia attached to this one. I'll get into that in a minute, but this pen, the beauty of it is you can draw with it, and the beauty is that it's not precise. Now, you can be precise with it. So if I'm drawing lines, I can be super careful. But as you can see from the get-go, the lines start off kind of light because as I pull the pen closer to my hand, it gets closer to the paper, and so it gets thicker and thinner. But anyway, it's not as perfect as that. It's and that's not even perfect, but it's still, you can tell it's a little more shaky. But it's great whenever you want to do something that's a little less structured, I guess. So like if I did this, where can you see it? Okay, so if I did this little flower guy, the lines, they vary from thin to thick, and there's all sorts of techniques that you can use. For instance, like if I held my pen to the side a little bit like this, and this is just comfortable for me, I can get a little bit thinner of a line. You can start off thin, and it gets thicker towards the outside, or you can start off thicker and get thin towards the outside. So it has a lot of flexibility, a tiny bit less control, but it's just fun to draw with because it I don't know, it just gives me a little bit more freedom. It's a little more freeing to draw with something with a little less control, but also it slows me down because sometimes I want to rush through a drawing. But you have to stop and you have to really concentrate, and you really have to, you really have to, it makes you slow down, and it makes you like, oh, okay, I'm going to sit and I'm going to draw, and I need to clear my mind, and I need to put this stuff at the side, and I need to cut off all my distractions. And speaking of distractions, I need to plug my phone in so it doesn't die. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I love this. Here, let's do this real quick. Anyway, that was the brush pen. I'm a little scatterbrained. So here is this pen, and the only difference in this guy is that you've got two ends. So on this end, you've got a brush, and then on the other end, you have a smaller little pen. It's a little bit more fine, but it works more like a tiny marker. Let's flip this guy over. So like this side, I can do roughly it's not as precise as the microns, but it does give you the means to the end. That's the thing. That it just doesn't give you, like, there's not different sizes. Like the microns, you can do really simple lines, really thin lines, but this is just like, this is the size that you get. So hopefully you're doing a drawing where you can only use that or this. But again, this is the brush pen or the brush pen side, and it still does that. You know, it gives you the same effects that you would have with the Kuretake brush pen that I had earlier. But, and again, with this one, if you want to thicken those lines up, you make them thick as you want. You can make them thin as you want. And then, again, using the brush pen to slow yourself down. Sorry, I have to breathe through this one. I have to breathe. See if I can do it. That's pretty thin. I'm a little shaky because I'm on camera, and being on camera makes me nervous. I'm easier this way, and I get super close to it. But the beauty of the brush pen, like I said, if you slow down and you kind of really focus and you really concentrate, and you take your time and you show it a little love and attention and affection, and you can make it work for you. Sorry, I was probably blocking the camera the whole time. You can do super fine lines like that. And it's just beautiful. Hey, Crystal! Sorry, my friend Crystal just joined. I'm kind of excited. So there's that pen. That's my new graphic novel, Blankets. I can't wait to read it. So the thing with the pens, this guy I bought on a recommendation from Jake Parker, who's like my idol. He's not really my idol. You know, David Bowie's my idol. But he's like my unknown... He's my mentor, but he's not my mentor because he doesn't know who I am. But I watch all of his YouTube channels. He's a super cool guy. If you have a chance, you need to look him up. His name is Jake Parker. But he has on his website a tools page, and he just lists all the tools that he has. And so I bought this on a recommendation from him because he was like, this is my go-to travel pen. He brings it everywhere with him. So when he travels, he has it. No, I did eat too many cinnamon crescents. I ate like 5 today. It's ridiculous. I have to start running again or I'm going to get huge. Anyway, I bought this on recommendation from him, and I like it. It's cool. Not my favorite. Okay, so this is my favorite, but here we go. The ultimate is this guy. So this is, hold on, I better get this right because this is the longest thing ever. I have to read it. Here we go. It's a Winsor & Newton Series 7 1 Kolinsky Sable brush. I'll spell it for you. No, I'm kidding. It's, whenever I told my mom I wanted this for Christmas, she was like, now what? And I just sent her a link to Amazon. I was like, this is what I want. So here's the importance of this guy. Because this is the pen that's got nostalgia for me. I'm coming back. So this guy. So Bill Watterson, who's the writer and illustrator of Calvin and Hobbes. If you don't know Calvin and Hobbes, we can't be friends. Calvin and Hobbes was my go-to comic book whenever I was a kid. I have all of their books. I read them several times. It was hilarious. His writing is stellar. His artwork is even better. But he did all of his comics with this brush. So everything that he drew was drawn with this brush. Like not this brush. Like his fingerprints didn't touch this brush. This is new. But this size brush, that brand and everything. And India ink. So that's what he illustrated everything with. And I mean, you can totally tell when you take a look at it, you know, the difference in the ink widths But you take time and you can get super fine right here and right here. You can do super thick, and then you can do all these big thick trees and the ink splatters and stuff. I mean, that's just kind of a natural byproduct of it. It's a beautiful brush. Now, the reason I say that is because here, I'm going to open this guy up. Because it's Winsor & Newton and all their products are stellar, you can do a lot. So here we go. I'm going to dip this guy in here. So you dip this little guy in here. And like a paintbrush, you would kind of, brush the side of the brush against the inkwell to kind of wipe off some of the excess. And then you can draw lines. And no, I've never knocked it over, but I'm super fearful that I will. And if I do, it'll be right now when I'm live. So just wait for it. But the thing about this brush, it's not, it has the same kind of properties as the other brush pens that I showed you earlier. Like, you can still do the same thin to thickness. Do you know what I'm saying? And you can still take your time and do those fine lines. You can do thick lines. The cool thing about this that I haven't used yet, so I don't use it to this effect quite yet, but you can do more of an ink wash with it. And if I had watercolor paper, you would see the effect a little bit more. But you can do shading using ink and water and play with that idea. So that's really cool, but I have not experimented with it before, doing the shading and the ink wash. So I don't, it's not my style. I think it's cool, and I'm showing you guys because hopefully you guys will think it's cool and you'll be able to do some ink wash pictures in the future. But that's for like a black and white watercolor look, and I'm all about the fine lines. That's just my wheelhouse. Anyway, the thing about this is that it slows me down even more so than the other brush, because you have ink for a long time. Like I can draw for a good, I don't know, depending on how much ink I'm putting on the paper, 3 or 4 minutes, 5 maybe if I'm doing like really simple lines. But you can go for a while. Like, it holds a lot of ink in that little tip of that, the fibers of the brush. And it just does a beautiful job. The brush is so well made and it's so precise. It's a beautiful tool to hold in your hand. I don't know how else to say that. It just feels good to draw with it. It's like if I was a car guy and I was driving whatever cars that car guys like, and I'd be like, oh, just the steering wheel feels so good under your hand. It's the same thing, except it's a pen, or it's a brush. So it takes some getting used to. Like, it takes some practice. The first couple of drawings I did with it was just tests. Like, if you have a lot of ink on the tip of your brush, you won't be able to get such a fine line because you just have too much ink. But if you dip it, this is what I kind of do. Brush off the excess on the side, and then I kind of give it like a touch to the napkin, and maybe another like boom boom. I can, Huckleberry, here's somebody. I can do much more thin work. Brush off some of that, and then you get those lines. Are you guys seeing this? Hopefully you guys have a good view. So yeah. And again, same with this. again, not with the microns, but with the brush pens, the way that you hold your pen or the way that you hold your brush also affects, your outcome. When I'm working on pieces and I need to do, a thin line, but I can't come up here and draw this way, I'll lean it against my forefinger here, and then just kind of give it a little touch, and kind of draw sideways. I'm standing up, so it's kind of hard. Let me lean down. Hold on. And then, there we go. Some little fine lines. I don't know. That side's a little wonky. There we go. And when you're drawing with it, you have to pay attention how much force you're putting behind that brush to touch the paper. Just a little brush, a little thin streak will produce those teeny tiny lines. I know I'm not drawing anything. It's just lines, but I hope you guys can get a feel for how this looks. And I'm going to focus on my hand. Boom, there it goes. Up. There it goes. Anyway, it's a beautiful tool. I highly recommend it. It's fun to play with. It's fun to draw with. It really will challenge you. And then here's a cool thing, because I was worried when I first got it about cleaning it. This is how you clean it. You get water. You get you a bar of soap. You dip it in the water and you wash it all out. And then it's super easy. You just kind of just soap and water. You just put soap on it, rinse, repeat. So you just kind of get it kind of soapy. Add some water. Always get the excess water off and do it a couple times, and then it's clean, and then you're good to go. And take super care of it because it's such a good brush. I always take it if I'm not using it, and I put this little cap on it that it came with. Not that it needs to have that cap, but it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm taking care of it like a baby. So it's like, okay, it's protected. It's in its original little tube, and then I slap it over here in my little jar of pens, and I feel happy about my life. So there you go. So far, there's 6 people. Okay, that's a decent crowd. So far, any questions before I move on with the next item on my agenda? Okay, so, I'm spilling stuff. Okay, so, that's that. Now, I'm going to kind of move on to a couple of books. The first book I have is my favorite book. My favorite pen and ink book. It's this guy. It's Rendering in Pen and Ink. The story behind him is by Arthur L. Guptill. Anyway, this book I checked out of the library like in high school. So it was like 1957. They were trying to ban books at this time. No, I'm kidding. It was, I don't know, it looked cool. It had stuff on the cover about drawing, so I checked it out. In all reality, I was probably about 14 or 15 years old. And checked this out of the library and started looking through it. And it's Rendering in Pen and Ink, and it's, I don't want to say it's a beginner's guide, but literally it was published in, hold on, I'll tell you. First published in 1976. So there's nothing about digital art in here, which is right up my alley. And it really goes into detail about materials and tools. And like I said, it covers all your bases. Inkwells, pen nibs for, what are those other pens called that? I'm totally having a brain fart. Fountain pens. Yeah, I knew it would come to me. Anyway, pen nibs for fountain pens. Fountain pens is the only pen that I haven't used, that I don't have, that I didn't mention because I've never used it. But I do want one. I hear they're great. So anyway, back to the thing at hand. See, there's lines like I just showed you guys. Anyway, so it starts off and kind of gives you the basics, right? Here's another thing talking about pressure and lines and texture and adding texture. It's really a great book to have. Now, so if you're a beginner, you can go through all this stuff, and it has great ideas. But what I loved about it whenever I was a kid and even now is that it has so many things that you can reference. It teaches you about shading. It has all sorts of reference material. I mean, look at that. That's just gorgeous. And all the artists are credited in here that have done each piece. But it's a really, really great book. This book, getting back to my story because I ramble, this book, I checked out, like I said, I was 14, 15 years old, and, ate it, digested it, returned it back to the library. But this book has always stuck with me. I've never forgotten it. I've looked it up on the internet several times since then. And then, I guess the middle part of last year, whenever I realized that I'm going to be doing pen and ink for a while, I looked it up on Amazon and I bought it. And it's amazing. The cool thing is that one day I was working on a pen and ink drawing, and I wanted reference material. Because I was having trouble doing bricks or making brick look the way that I wanted this brick to look on this drawing that I was working on. And you can open this book and you can look at a picture and you can see different styles of how to do the brick. So like here's that, kind of minimalist. And then here it is with all sorts of lines and all sorts of detail. And you can just really, if you really sink your teeth into this bad boy, it's a good guide. The art is incredible. So, another cool thing, and then this leads to the other thing I wanted to talk about is styles. So this book also touches on a bunch of different styles. This is Walter Jardine. Anyway, look at the detail in that. Oh, it's gorgeous. Anyway, they go into different styles. So you've got this, which is crosshatch. It's kind of messy, but not. It still has structure, but really, really great work. James Flagg, that's who that guy is. Then you have this, which is like bold lines, thick lines, lots of black. Yeah, it's just great. There's this, looks like it had a little bit of ink wash, or depending on the paper. It almost looks like pencil or graphite. It's messy. It says in the caption, it's dry brush. It's a dry brush drawing by Samuel V. Chamberlain. It's just gorgeous. What's another one? There's this. I don't know if you can see that. All the little white points. Oh, it's so nice. A dry brush is basically if I took a brush and loaded it with ink, and then it's kind of hard to explain. You put ink on your brush, but it has to be a brush that you're going to ruin. And you kind of get all the excess ink off, so you have just a barely bit of ink left on your brush, and then you just kind of lightly brush it over your paper using the texture. It's almost like you're cleaning your brush off, but you're cleaning your brush off as a means to draw or paint. It's hard to explain. Like a dry brush isn't a type of brush, it's more of a type of a technique. I hope that answers your question, Ray. There's another guy. What else? Okay, so this was the image that has stuck with me from the book from whenever I was a kid, whenever I was a teenager. It's called The Romancer by John R. Neal. And I think in the library, I photocopied this and like folded away and took it back home. And I have that photocopy still somewhere. But yeah, I was super, oh, hey, Amanda. So I was super stoked to find the book. But this image is so poignant and it's, I don't know, it's so sad. But I always told myself that one day when I got tattoos, I would have this guy tattooed on me somewhere. And it hasn't happened yet. But that's just because I haven't found the right artist. Like, this is such a great piece. I love it. Anyway, that was my favorite out of the whole book. And he has some other drawings that they feature in here, but that was my favorite. Again, here's some more simpler. It's detailed, but it's minimal because of the use of white space. It's beautiful. I wanted to get to something that was a little bit more technical. Maybe they have something in the back here. Sorry if you can hear that. It's my kids being crazy because they're kids. Like, this is super technical. Can't say they had micron pens back then when they really drew. This is T.M. Cleland is the artist, but the precision in here is just spectacular. I love it. So anyway, it's a great book. Now, I'm gonna use that. So there's that. And then there's another, because the only thing that this didn't hit on is Ralph Steadman. Ralph Steadman is an illustrator, and I guess he's most famous for doing the illustrations for this book, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. By the way, Hunter S. Thompson is such a good read. He's crazy, but I love him. But Steadman, he basically uses ink, but he uses it in like the most sloppily way possible. And the thing that's interesting for him is like you've got these clean lines representing, in the book it represents Vegas. So you have like the cityscape in the background that's kind of abstract and avant-garde, and then in the foreground you've got all this crazy ink blotches. You know, he's literally like flinging ink onto the page, and you've got these crazy blacks and these weird characters, and then you have these thin little just barely brushes of the ink against the paper here. You know, this was done with ink. Just his style has always been something that resonated with me because I hadn't seen it. Hold on, let me find you. Hey, Stone and Celeste. I'm glad you guys are here. So, this is a scene. I can't really go into the book, but basically the author is tripping. He's taken a lot of drugs, and he's in this lobby of the hotel, and all the people start turning into lizards because he's tripping. But it's blowing out. There we go. That helped anyway. But it's kind of morbid, kind of grotesque, but again, like the juxtaposition here between like the cross hatching, the splotches of ink, and then these perfect circles that are inside of his eyes. You know, it's I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy good. But I love looking at his work because, like, if you could have a signature or like a signature style or a thumbprint on a style, you can tell Ralph Steadman without knowing anything. Oh, Ralph Steadman did this one. No, I can totally tell. Amanda, is that an aperture mechanism? Yes. Yeah, it's aperture. Now, I don't necessarily know that my phone has an aperture, but that's the actual technical mechanism that adjusts your lighting. Like, this is morbid and crazy, but let's look at the ink. It's just thrown on there. It's just crazy. And then you've got all these perfect circles. All this, technically perfect circles, and then ink, and then crazy. This is when his lawyer is tripping out, and he's trying to kill himself in the bathtub. He didn't do it, but crazy, yeah. I mean, you don't have to love Hunter S. Thompson, but Ralph Steadman is awesome. So anyway, I'm showing you that and this because I just want to let you guys know that your style is something that just kind of comes to you. Like I don't necessarily think that I've got a style. Oh wait, hold on. You're asking me a question. Oh yeah, no, that's totally an aperture. Yeah, I thought you were talking about whenever I was getting the camera's lighting, my phone camera's lighting to adjust. But yeah, no, that's totally an aperture. So anyway, what am I saying? Anyway, so I'm showing you this and I'm showing you this just so you guys can kind of get ideas of the different styles that you can do with the different pens. With technical or with the brush pen or with the inkwell, you can achieve all of these things. This is another one that this was an illustrator for some of Edgar Allan Poe's books. The dark, the technical precision here is just amazing. Here's the other side. Oh, I love it. I love it. Anyway, so if you want a good pen and ink reference or a good refresher or just to be inspired, this book would be a good one to pick up. Ralph Steadman I threw in there just to give you guys a look at what just kind of a contrast of a different style that's not been seen very often, but there's just so contrast to what we're accustomed to seeing. So, just don't be afraid of just going out there and you don't have to think about a style. Just do something that is true to you and just make it your own and own it, and it's going to be awesome just because you're you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's everything. And it wasn't structured, and I didn't feel like I taught you guys anything, but hopefully you got something out of that. So this is the part of the show where I can answer questions. So let me see. I think I answered most of them as I was doing my thing. I'm just scrolling through real quick. When did I switch to pen and ink? I've done pen and ink. I've done pen and ink forever, but I never really focused on it. Like it wasn't like something that I did on a regular basis. I would just do it in and out whenever I felt like doing pen and ink drawings. But I made the official switch maybe 2.5 years ago. Like I said, I picked up a pack of pens from Target. Started doing pen and ink work. Started posting it on Instagram, and then people started to pay more attention to my artwork, which felt good. Because as an artist, your whole goal is to share your artwork with people. So, when that started getting me a little bit more attention than my regular art stuff, I was like, oh, people like this. And I've always liked to do pen and ink work, so I might kind of focus on this for a minute. And I fell in love with it, and I've been doing it ever since. So 2.5, give or take, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I switched to just do pen and ink full time. Which is not to say I don't do other projects. I have other painting commissions every now and then. Actually, I have a portrait that's due. I need to do it for my neighbor. That's going to be pencil portrait of him and his dad. But no, pen and ink. That's my main focus now. I love it. Hold on, I'm going to switch this camera around so I could talk to you face to face. I got to untape my cord because it was in the way. Boom. Okay, hold on. Okay. So oh yeah, we were talking about tattoos earlier. I need more, but I love tattoos. They're my favorite. Okay, so Amanda. Oh, okay, so Amanda, don't feel lame. Oh no, don't feel lame. That's crazy. The thing that I really wanted to say about pens and finding your style or anything to that nature is that depending on the tool that you use, like a pen does not an artist make. Like an artist is an artist because they call themselves artists and they do art. And don't beat yourself up about finding a style or trying to find a way to define what it is that you do. Just do what you do what interests you, and do it, as best as you can. Your style will find you. None of my drawings really are the same thing. Like, I'll do a series of drawings and stay within the boundaries of whatever series that I've given myself to do. But stylistically, my drawings change from one subject matter to another. And I do that on purpose. I do it because I get bored. Like, I did a heart series, and the heart series are fun, and I'll do more hearts in the future. But the hearts get old after a minute, and then I want to challenge myself and do something else. Hold on, I need that lighting. Maybe I should back up so I'm not overexposed. But anyway, don't beat yourself up about your style. You just start exploring art, and you explore it to the fullest extent, and you try a little bit of everything, and like I said, it'll find you, and you'll something will click, and then you'll start doing this thing, and it'll be awesome. I don't know, my camera's going crazy. Oh, I'm back. Did I design all my tattoos? Yes. But design is a strong word, because a lot of it is just words. A lot of it is, so basically what I would do was I would just find a font that was my favorite font, and I would write, because they're all quotes from books. So I would find the quote that I wanted, type it up, get the font that I wanted, and I'd space it out and get it kind of where the size that I thought it should fit on my arm, and I would just bring it to my tattoo artist, and he would just basically make a copy, put the stencil on my arm, we'd check to make sure that it was in the right place, and then he just went to town. So loosely I designed them all, but they're all really fonts made by other people. Now, this guy, the heart with the octopus tentacle and the pen at the bottom, I designed that. And then this, which is just friggin' fraggin'. Oh, is it in live video? What's happening? Hey, am I still live? Y'all tell me, because my phone started freaking out. Hold on, my phone's totally freaking out. Okay, no, not off. Okay, sorry guys. All these surveys started popping up, and I was like, hey, you're done. Anyway, there's that. I designed that guy. The rest was designed for me by other people that I just used. Knuckle tattoos. I drew them up. So yeah, I drew them all up and gave them to my tattoo artist. I'm like, this is what I want. Yeah, the shirt is a winner because it's Weezer, and Weezer rocks. I'm reading y'all's questions. Nope, I didn't get kicked off. Amanda, you want more tattoos? Well, I second that. Cool. So that looks like I'm up to speed on all your questions. If I missed anything, y'all can just ask away. So, what's your favorite pen and ink piece this year that I've done? That's a good question. I'm working on a few projects right now. I'm working on a big New York piece, which is daunting. and it's overwhelming and it scares me. But I'm not gonna put it up. I'm gonna keep trudging through it. But it's going to be my favorite piece. It's going to be it's going to be my opus. It's going to be great. But that's kind of a work in progress. So I haven't seen, I see it coming together, but I haven't, of course, finished it. And so I will never see, whenever I see the whole thing put together, that'll be like proud papa moment. I'll be like, I made this. Like, I have made fire. It'll be awesome. So it's unfinished, so I can't say that's my favorite. I'm working on a commission for Crystal right now, and I'm really digging it. And whenever it's done, it'll be my favorite that I worked on this year. Last year, my big pen and ink project was the Charles Dickens A Christmas Carol, and I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. And I'm probably going to do another one this year around Thanksgiving and just represent each of the ghosts of Christmas past, or past, present, and future. Any of the, the three. Anyway, so right now I'm working on a commission of a largemouth bass. And when that's done, it'll be my favorite that I've done this year. Because aesthetically it's something a little different than I'm used to doing, and I'm really digging it. It looks really good. The Infinity War piece, it was fun, and I really like to do it, and I'm a fanboy at heart, so it was fun, but not my favorite. It was just fun to draw, but not my favorite. But the fish is my favorite. No, I appreciate the compliment of me being famous, but I'm not buying it. Maybe I have to die first. It'll be a Van Gogh thing. Maybe after I die. My kids might be famous. And so they can own that. Anyway, the Christmas Carol piece, I loved it. It's hanging in it's not hanging in there. Oh no, it's in the living room. Amanda says you need to go hunt that down. What book? I don't know if I missed something. No, I don't plan on cutting my hair off. But yeah, I'll be 100 and something, and I'll be famous then, and that's okay with me. So, any other questions? Oh, yeah, Christmas Carol. No, the book's really good, and the book's a quick read, and the book is super interesting, and, I mean, if you've seen any version of the movie, it's mostly the book, but, I got 2 minutes left. 2 minute warning. Anyway, but the book's a quick read, and it's a fun read, and I read the book actually twice, and then I kind of reread some scenes to prep for the big pen and ink piece that I did. But anyway, so there's that, and okay. Oh, I see. The Christmas Carol piece is in Insta. Yeah, you can go back through my feed and it's on there. Sorry, man, I didn't really understand what you were saying. Okay, so I got a minute and a half. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I hope this has been interesting. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've been inspired. Ralph Steadman, Hunter S. Thompson. Rendering in pen and ink by Arthur L. Guptill, Guptill. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon. I mean, this one's a good read, but not so much for art. But the other one for art, definitely get that book. It's amazing. Anyway, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to go to my Instagram. It's at Brandon Hayman, and you can just ask questions away there. I'm sure Ray will post this later on YouTube. And anyway, you guys know where to find me. Ask away. I'm super open, and I'm going to sign off early so there's no lag time, because sometimes there's like a delay in lag time, and it drives me crazy. So hope you guys learned something. I had a great time talking with you via the future in technology. So good night, and I'll talk to you guys later. I'm just letting the time run out at this point. 1 second.